The massive alien warship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud over humanity's future. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the United Nations Emergency Chamber podium, her weathered hands gripping its edges as she addressed the gathered world leaders. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy as holographic displays showed real-time footage of the Galactic Empire's flagship, a behemoth of gleaming metal stretching 20 kilometers from bow to stern. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. 48 hours ago, we received their ultimatum. The Galactic Empire demands Earth's immediate surrender and integration into their dominion. They've given us until sunrise tomorrow to comply. She paused, letting the gravity of those words sink in. The chamber fell silent, save for the soft hum of environmental systems. What the Empire didn't know, what they couldn't possibly understand, was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over a century. Ever since we detected their first probe at the edge of our solar system, we knew they were coming. The world's nations had set aside their differences, pooling resources and knowledge into Project Guardian Shield, all while maintaining a careful facade of primitive space technology. The Empire's ambassador, a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple eye stalks, had sneered at our quaint space stations and primitive fusion drives during the first contact. Their arrogance was exactly what we had counted on. Behind the scenes, quantum computers hummed in underground bunkers, processing the massive amounts of data needed for our defense grid. Orbital platforms disguised as communications satellites housed technology that would make their engineers' jaws drop, if they had jaws. Sarah brought up the next holographic display, showing Earth's apparently modest defense fleet, a few hundred ships that the Empire had dismissed as barely worth noting. A small smile played across her lips as she thought about the surprises hidden within those vessels. General Thompson's team had reverse-engineered technology from that first probe, advancing our capabilities by centuries while carefully hiding our true progress. The Empire believes they're facing a primitive species armed with basic particle weapons and rudimentary shield technology. Sarah continued, "They expect us to bow down, to become another footnote in their 10,000-year history of conquest. But they've made one crucial mistake. They've underestimated the human spirit." The chamber erupted in murmurs as she brought up the final display, a simulation of Earth's true defensive capabilities. Layer upon layer of quantum shields, gravity manipulation arrays, and weapon systems that could target ships through subspace itself. The fruit of 100 years of silent preparation. "My fellow humans," Sarah's voice carried across the chamber with renewed strength, "tomorrow at sunrise, when the Empire expects our surrender, we will instead show them something they've never seen in their millennia of expansion. A species that refuses to kneel. A planet that stands united against tyranny. A civilization that values freedom above all else." The tension in the room was electric as Sarah prepared to reveal humanity's response to the Empire's ultimatum. But just then, the chamber's emergency sirens began to wail. The holographic displays flickered with new information. The Empire's fleet was moving. They weren't waiting until sunrise. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, hours ahead of schedule. Sarah straightened her uniform, her expression hardening with determination. The question now wasn't whether humanity would survive. It was whether the Galactic Empire was ready for what Earth had in store for them. The United Nations chamber erupted into controlled chaos as military officers rushed to their stations. Sarah's wrist communicator buzzed with urgent messages from defense outposts across the globe. The Empire's massive fleet had broken formation, spreading out in a classic invasion pattern they'd seen in simulations countless times. "Admiral Chen," a voice called from the tactical station. Lieutenant David Parker's fingers flew across his holographic controls, bringing up detailed scans of the enemy fleet. "They've launched what appears to be their first wave, 5,000 ships, mostly medium-class destroyers. They're targeting our major cities." Sarah allowed herself a brief moment to close her eyes, sensing the weight of 5 billion lives resting on humanity's next moves. When she opened them again, they blazed with determination. "Initiate Defense Protocol Alpha," she commanded, "and get me a direct line to Project Guardian Shield." Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Lisa Wong stood in a vast chamber filled with humming quantum processors. Her life's work, the Guardian Shield AI, was about to face its first real test. The system had run millions of simulations, but this was different. This was humanity's only shot at survival. All Guardian Shield substations report ready. Lisa's voice crackled through Sarah's comm. Waiting for your command, Admiral. Above them, the Empire's ships entered the atmosphere, their energy shields creating brilliant auroras across the sky. They expected to find cities full of panicking humans, easy targets for their supposedly superior weapons. Instead, they found silence. No radio chatter, no defensive fire, no signs of resistance at all. Let them get closer, Sarah ordered, her voice steady. Let them think they've caught us sleeping. She watched as the enemy ships descended, their confidence evident in their tight formation. Years of gathering intelligence had taught them that overconfidence was the Empire's greatest weakness. The first wave of alien ships reached the optimal engagement zone. Sarah took a deep breath. Guardian Shield, activate primary defense grid. Authorization, Chen Alpha 70. Around the globe, thousands of seemingly innocent satellites simultaneously dropped their camouflage. Quantum shields sprang to life, forming an interlocking web of energy that enveloped the entire planet. The Empire's ships suddenly found themselves trapped inside a massive containment field, their weapons and engines neutralized by technology they didn't even know existed. But this was just the beginning. Sarah knew the real test would come when the Empire's main fleet realized what was happening. They had maybe minutes before the alien admiral would order a full assault. Dr. Wong, status of the gravity manipulation arrays. Sarah asked, watching as the trapped enemy ships tried unsuccessfully to break free. Arrays are charging, Admiral. 87% and climbing. We'll only get one shot at this. The chamber's main display showed the Empire's flagship moving into attack position. Its size blotted out the sun over North America, casting an ominous shadow across the continent. They were about to find out if a century of preparation had been enough. Suddenly, new alerts flashed across the tactical displays. The Empire had launched something different, something they hadn't seen in any of their intelligence reports. A massive energy signature was building up in their flagship's core, unlike anything their sensors had encountered before. Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't wait any longer. The gravity arrays weren't fully charged, but they were out of options. She opened her mouth to give the order, but before she could speak, the Empire's flagship began to glow with an impossible light. The battle for Earth was about to enter its next phase, and humanity would need every trick, every secret weapon, and every ounce of courage they had accumulated over the past 100 years. The real question was, what other surprises did the Empire have waiting for them? The impossible light from the Empire's flagship intensified until it rivaled the sun itself. Warning sirens blared throughout the United Nations chamber as their sensors struggled to analyze the phenomenon. Sarah watched in horror as the energy readings went off the charts. All stations, brace for impact, she shouted, gripping her command console. The massive alien vessel was channeling power into what appeared to be a reality-warping weapon, something far beyond what their intelligence had suggested the Empire possessed. Dr. Wong's voice cut through the chaos, tight with urgency but controlled. Admiral, the quantum analysis suggests they're attempting to create a localized space-time disruption. If they succeed, our shields won't matter. They'll simply rewrite the laws of physics around them. Time seemed to slow as Sarah processed this information. 100 years of preparation, and still the Empire had managed to surprise them. But humanity hadn't survived this long by giving up when the odds turned against them. Lisa, Sarah said, using Dr. Wong's first name for the first time in years, remember that theoretical application of the Guardian Shield we discussed. The one you said was too unstable to test. There was a moment of silence on the comm. You can't be serious, Sarah. The energy backlash could tear apart half the solar system. And what happens if we do nothing? Deep in her Antarctic command center, Lisa's fingers flew across her controls, making rapid calculations. The Empire's weapon continued to build power, creating visible distortions in the space around their flagship. Their smaller ships were already beginning to break free from the containment field as reality itself warped around them. Lieutenant Parker, Sarah called out, "Redirect all power from the gravity arrays to the Guardian shield. Dr. Wong is going to need every ounce of energy we can give her." She turned to address the gathered world leaders, many of whom had refused to evacuate despite the danger. "Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you hold on to something." The Empire's weapon reached critical mass, beginning to tear holes in the fabric of spacetime itself. But as their energy beam lanced out toward Earth, something unexpected happened. The Guardian shield didn't try to block it. Instead, it began to resonate with the Empire's attack, creating a harmonic frequency that no one, human or alien, had ever witnessed before. "It's working." Lisa's voice was filled with equal parts excitement and terror. "The shield is absorbing their weapon's energy signature and reflecting it through our quantum matrix." "But Sarah, I can't control where this energy will go. Once it releases." The Empire's flagship fired again, and again, each shot more powerful than the last. But with each blast, the Guardian shield grew stronger, its network of quantum processors learning and adapting at impossible speeds. The sky above Earth began to ripple with colors that human eyes had never seen before. Sarah knew they were standing on the edge of either humanity's greatest triumph or its final moment. The Empire had brought their ultimate weapon to bear, but in doing so, they might have given humanity exactly what it needed to turn the tide. Through the command chamber's windows, she could see the fabric of reality starting to bend and twist. The Empire's flagship seemed to distort, stretching and compressing as spacetime itself rebelled against what was happening. They were moments away from either salvation or annihilation, and there would be no middle ground. "Lisa," Sarah said, her voice barely a whisper, "do it. Activate the resonance protocol. Let's show the Empire why you don't corner a species that spent a century preparing for exactly this moment." The universe held its breath as Dr. Wong's fingers hovered over the final command sequence. Everything they'd worked for, everything they'd sacrificed, had led to this moment. The next few seconds would determine not just the fate of Earth, but potentially the very nature of reality in this corner of the galaxy. Just as Dr. Wong's hand moved to activate the resonance protocol, Lieutenant Parker's voice cut through the tension. "Admiral, we're detecting quantum signatures. Thousands of them, materializing behind the Empire's fleet." The tactical display lit up with new contacts, appearing out of nowhere like stars blinking into existence. Sarah's heart nearly stopped. Had the Empire brought reinforcements? But as the new vessels fully materialized, she noticed something odd about their design. They were sleek, organic-looking ships that bore no resemblance to the Empire's angular war machines. "This is Ambassador Naira of the Galactic Resistance." A new voice echoed through the chamber's communication system. "We've been tracking the Empire's movements, waiting for a species brave enough to stand against them. We offer our assistance, if Earth will have it." Sarah exchanged glances with the UN Security Council members. This was unprecedented. In all their years of preparation, they'd never imagined there might be allies out there, other species who'd suffered under the Empire's expansion. But before anyone could respond, the Empire's flagship began to pulse with an even more intense energy. "They're attempting to collapse the entire solar system into a quantum singularity." Lisa's voice was frantic. "The resonance protocol won't be enough. They're channeling power from their entire fleet." The chamber erupted into chaos as the implications became clear. The Empire would rather destroy an entire star system than face defeat. Sarah looked at the tactical display, watching as the Resistance fleet moved into defensive positions around Earth. They were committing themselves to humanity's cause without even waiting for a response. "Dr. Wong," Sarah said, her mind racing with new possibilities, "could we integrate the Resistance ship's quantum signatures into the Guardian Shield network? Create a unified defense grid?" "Theoretically, yes, but we'd need their ships to synchronize with our quantum frequency. The calculations alone would take hours." "You have 2 minutes," Sarah interrupted. "Ambassador Naira, can your ships match their quantum signatures to our planetary defense grid?" "Already done, Admiral Chen." came the calm reply. "We've been studying your shield's resonance patterns since we arrived. I must say, it's quite impressive for a species the Empire labeled as primitive." A small smile crossed Sarah's face. Perhaps humanity wasn't the only one who'd learned to hide their true capabilities from the Empire. The tactical display updated, showing the resistance ships integrating seamlessly into Earth's defense network. The Guardian shield's power readings suddenly doubled, then tripled. But the Empire wasn't finished. Their flagship split apart, revealing a massive crystalline structure at its core, technology that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. "That's impossible," Lisa whispered over the comm. "They're trying to trigger a cascade failure in the quantum fabric of space itself. If they succeed, Earth will never have existed in the first place," Ambassador Naira finished grimly. "We've seen them do this before. It's why we're all that's left of the last 5 galaxies they pacified." Sarah's mind raced. They had Earth's most advanced defensive system ever created, enhanced by advanced alien technology, and it still might not be enough. But as she watched the Empire's weapon charging, she noticed something in the sensor readings, a pattern she'd seen before. "Lisa," she said, her voice steady despite the universe literally beginning to unravel around them. "Remember that flaw we found in the first Empire probe? The one that seemed too obvious to be real?" There was a moment of silence on the comm. Then, "Oh my God, they never fixed it. Their entire quantum network still uses the same base code." For the first time since the battle began, Sarah Chen truly smiled. Sometimes the greatest weaknesses were hidden in plain sight, passed down through millennia of technological arrogance. They had one shot at this, one chance to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. The Empire's reality-destroying weapon reached 99% charge as Sarah gave her next order, one that would either save Earth or condemn the entire solar system to having never existed at all. "Execute Protocol Zero," Sarah commanded, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. "Transmit the quantum virus through their own weapon's energy matrix." The gamble was enormous. They'd be using the Empire's reality-destroying blast as a delivery system for the very code that had been hidden in their first probe. The Empire's weapon fired, a beam of pure chaos that began to tear reality apart. But as it struck the combined shield grid of Earth and the Resistance fleet, something extraordinary happened. Instead of shattering the shields, the energy began to flow backward through the quantum network, carrying Earth's virus with it. "It's working." Lisa's voice was triumphant. "The virus is spreading through their entire fleet. Their quantum networks are crashing." On the tactical display, Empire ships began to lose power, their mighty weapons falling silent as the ancient flaw in their base code finally came back to haunt them. The Empire's flagship tried to abort its attack, but it was too late. The massive energy they'd built up had nowhere to go. Sarah watched as the crystalline core of their flagship began to pulse with unstable light. "All ships, fall back. They're going tow." The explosion was unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. The Empire's flagship imploded, creating a localized quantum anomaly that began pulling in their nearby ships. The Resistance fleet and Earth's defenses held firm, protected by their combined shield grid, as they watched the mighty Galactic Empire's invasion force tear itself apart. But victory celebrations were cut short as new alarms blared through the command chamber. "Admiral," Lieutenant Parker called out, "the quantum anomaly. It's not dissipating. It's changing." The swirling vortex of reality-warped space had begun to stabilize, forming what appeared to be a window through space-time itself. Ambassador Naira's voice came through, filled with awe. "By the stars, they've done it. The legends were true." Through the quantum window, they could see another galaxy, one that had supposedly been destroyed by the Empire centuries ago. The Empire hadn't just been conquering worlds. They'd been hiding them, storing them in pocket dimensions for some greater purpose. "We're detecting life signs," Lisa reported, her voice shaking. "Billions of them. All the civilizations we thought the Empire had destroyed. They're in there, preserved in a state of temporal stasis." The implications were staggering. The Empire hadn't been an invasion force. They'd been collectors, gathering species and worlds for some unfathomable purpose. Sarah made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Ambassador Naira, Dr. Wong, can we stabilize this portal? Find a way to bring those worlds back? With our combined technology, yes, Naira replied. But Admiral, there's something you should know. The temporal readings from that dimension, they're not just from our past. Some of them are from Earth's future. The command chamber fell silent as the full implications sank in. They'd not only defeated the Empire, they'd uncovered a mystery that stretched across time itself. Earth's first major victory in galactic affairs had opened up questions that would take centuries to answer. Sarah looked out at the quantum portal, its swirling energies now stable thanks to the combined efforts of human and resistance technology. The Empire had sought to erase Earth from existence, but instead, they'd given humanity a gateway to both the past and future of the galaxy itself. Well, she said, allowing herself a small smile, I guess Earth's no-entry policy just became a lot more complicated. She turned to address the UN Security Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest we prepare a welcome message. It seems we have quite a few refugees to help resettle. As the portal pulsed with the light of countless preserved worlds, Sarah Chen realized that humanity's real journey was just beginning. The Galactic Empire had intended this to be Earth's last day among the stars. Instead, it had become the first day of humanity's role as guardians of time and space itself. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of irony after all. In the days that followed humanity's victory over the Galactic Empire, Earth transformed from a defensive stronghold into something unprecedented, a sanctuary for civilizations lost to time. The quantum portal, now stabilized by the combined efforts of human and resistant scientists, hung in orbit like a shimmering aurora, a testament to both the Empire's hubris and humanity's resilience. Sarah stood at her favorite spot in the newly established Galactic Coordination Center, watching as ships from the Resistance fleet helped guide the first groups of rescued civilizations back into normal spacetime. Dr. Wong had developed a careful process to prevent temporal shock, bringing each species back in stages, helping them adjust to their new reality. You know, Ambassador Nara said, joining Sarah at the observation window, in all our years fighting the Empire, we never imagined we'd find allies quite like humanity. You hid your true capabilities just as we did, but for a different reason. We hid out of fear. You hid out of strategy. Sarah smiled, remembering those tense 100 years of preparation. Sometimes the best defense is letting your opponent underestimate you. She paused, watching as another group of ships emerged from the portal. Have we identified all the civilizations yet? 342 distinct species so far, Nair replied. But the temporal readings from Earth's future are still puzzling us. It's as if the Empire wasn't just collecting across space, but across potential timelines as well. The implications of that discovery had kept Earth's scientists working around the clock. The Empire hadn't just been building a collection. They'd been creating a library of possible futures, preserving versions of civilizations that might have been, or might yet be. Lieutenant Parker approached with a data tablet, his expression brightening. Admiral, we finished decoding more of the Empire's database. You're going to want to see this. He handed her the tablet, displaying information that made her breath catch. The Empire had chosen Earth not just for its strategic location or resources, but because their predictions showed humanity becoming a nexus point for galactic civilization. In every timeline where Earth remained free, it became a force for unity and progress. The Empire hadn't tried to conquer Earth to expand their territory. They'd tried to prevent humanity from reaching its potential. Well, Sarah said, handing the tablet back, I suppose we should live up to those expectations. She turned to Naira. Ambassador, I believe it's time we discussed the formation of something new. Not an empire, not a resistance, but an alliance. One built on mutual respect and the protection of all sentient life. Naira's multifaceted eyes sparkled with something that looked remarkably like hope. I believe the rescued civilizations would be very interested in such an alliance, especially with Earth as a founding member. As if to emphasize the point, the quantum portal pulsed with new energy as another civilization emerged into normal space. This time, it was a species whose crystal ships sang with solar winds, a civilization that had been thought lost for millennia. Sarah Chen, the admiral who had helped save Earth, now found herself helping to build something far greater. Humanity had not only survived its first major galactic crisis, it had emerged as a beacon of hope for countless civilizations. The Empire had tried to write Earth out of existence. Instead, they had given humanity the tools to rewrite the story of the galaxy itself. As Sarah watched the continued rescue operations, she couldn't help but smile at that irony. Earth's no entry sign had become a welcome mat for those who needed it most. Sometimes she realized the greatest victories come not from the battles we win, but from what we choose to do after winning them. The real challenge and the real adventure was just beginning.